Hello, I am here at Triumph Motorcycles UK in Hinckley. There's a new Triumph Tiger 1200. Well, there's 5 bikes, 2 different families, the road-going GTs and the more adventurous rallies here. New bikes, they're lighter than before, they have more power than before, they are very competitively priced against the main rival. No prizes for guessing which bike that is. So, Stuart, these are the GT bikes, the road-going 2 of the range. Can you tell us a little bit more about what makes these the perfect road bike adventurous?
Okay, well, as you said, Mikko, we've got both sets of bikes here and a range of 5 bikes, and we have intentionally put quite a lot of difference between them to optimise the bikes for road touring and more adventure touring with real off-road capability. We've got the entry-level GT, the GT Pro, and of course the large tank GT Explorer. So the basic specification for the bikes is 19-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear wheel, cast wheels. This gets the bike tuned really for road use, but still very capable off-road. And again, you can choose off-road tyres that suit those sizes. We've got 200mm of suspension travel, which is for comfort on the road and obviously capability off the road. We've got an 850mm seat height, which is adjustable up to 870, again for comfort and control. And basically these bikes are tuned for road touring, weekend riding and off-road as well if you want to.
And in terms of fuel tanks, there's a difference. There's a 10-litre difference in the bikes. So what are the fuel tank sizes?
Okay, well the GT and the GT Pro have the 20-litre fuel tank.
Yeah.
When you come to the GT Explorer, you've got 50% more capacity, 50% further range with a 30-litre tank. With the GT and the GT Pro, we've got a 20-litre fuel tank. That's now aluminium. There's a huge focus on lightweight on all these bikes, and we've reduced the mass considerably. On the GT Explorer, we're up to 30-litre tank. That's 50% more capacity and 50% more range. So basically you've got bikes that will tour and then extreme tour in terms of distances you want to cover.
What's the theoretical distance that you can cover on each bike?
Well, you're on about 400 kilometres with the 20-litre tank and up to 600 kilometres with the 30-litre tank.
600 kilometres, that sounds good. Right, so the seat heights, you mentioned that. Is that up or down from previous generation, or has that remained the same?
Well, the seat heights are about the same. They are a little bit higher, but we've got 20mm more foam. Now, more importantly than the actual height is the height and its width. So we've got a very, very narrow standover, both for the seat and for the back of the fuel tank. So that makes it really easy to control, but it also lets you get your feet firmly onto the ground as easily as possible.
So, shall I test that?
Go ahead, yeah, be my guest.
I've got 31-inch leg, so let's see how far off the ground I am.
Now this is actually in the high position. This is the 870mm seat height. You can adjust that to 850, but in addition, there's a 20mm lower accessory seat as well. So you could be 40mm lower than that.
So I'm now at the high position. I've got my feet flat on the ground and I've got normal shoes on. I haven't got my motorbike boots with big platform soles on.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's pretty impressive.
Yep, good.
And the suspension, has that changed the suspension travel?
Okay, well we're at 200mm of suspension travel. It's now semi-active on all of the bikes. So this is a really nice system from Showa that adjusts the compression and rebound damping both ends of the bike and the preload as well. So depending on your weight, or if you add a passenger or add luggage, it will adjust the preload at the back to keep the bike's attitude correct, to give the best ride and control.
So with the semi-active suspension, what do I need to do to to make it work for either a single rider or two up or luggage?
Okay.
How does that work?
Okay, with respect to suspension adjustment, it's very, very straightforward. Obviously, because we're so focused on touring and the fact that these bikes will be used solo, two up, and occasionally solo with luggage or two up with luggage, there is adjustment that's required. Now, with the semi-active system, it automatically adjusts the rear suspension preload to suit the load that's on the bike, but it also adjusts the damping to suit that load as well. Okay, so it's very, very straightforward to use. Now, in addition to that, you can select a riding mode which will select a suspension setup that's appropriate for rain, road, sport or off-road. So we've got different suspension setups for off-road as well. In addition to the rear suspension preload adjustment, you can also select riding modes, which will automatically select an appropriate suspension setting between comfort and sport for the mode that you've selected. So rain, road, sport or off-road. We've got completely separate tunes for the suspension, the semi-active suspension for an off-road tune.
Talking about off-road, can we have a look at the rally bikes?
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
So these are the do-it-all, ride around the world, adventure bikes. What's the difference, the main difference between these and the road-going GTs?
Right, one of the main points of difference is the fact that we've got the 21-inch front wheel now on the rally models, including an 18-inch rear. So again, totally focused for off-road capability, but still really, really good on the road, where they will, in most cases, spend most of their time.
But they look more adventurous, if you like. They have that stance about them. Are there any differences in the chassis, in the shaping of them, or is this the same as the GT? Okay,
well, there's the stance you mentioned, absolutely correct. There's 20 millimeters more suspension travel. It is more capable off-road, and this is the focus of the bike. The seat height is slightly higher, so you still keep that comfort in the legroom when you lift the bike. So you've got an 875 or 895 millimeter seat height, which then you can reduce further with the lower accessory seat as well. So another 20 mil to come out of that.
So one of the things that we haven't mentioned yet is the engine. So there's a new triple engine here.
So this is an all-new 1160cc triple. It uses the T-plane crank, which we first introduced on the Tiger 900. Now, what that does, it gives you more character and more tractability and really encourages you to use the torque at low engine speed. So for off-road use, you're using lower revs and higher throttle openings, which really feels good and really gives you good control. That character is fantastic. It sounds great. But having that triple also allows you to have a very smooth engine at higher revs. So when you're touring, you've got a very comfortable, smooth and powerful engine. Now 150 horsepower at 9,000 RPM and 130 Newton meters at 7,000 with a really flat torque curve. So really strong engine and really suits the bike.
And another thing is the weight of the bikes, which has been reduced quite impressively. I presume some of it is from the engine, some of it is from the chassis. Can you talk us through what wizardry you've applied here?
Okay, well, overall, an incredible focus on mass reduction. So overall, we've reduced the mass from the previous model by 25 kilograms. That's a huge reduction, and it's everywhere. It's the engine, it's the frame, it's the components, every part of the bike. Not only are we 25 kilograms lighter than the previous model, we've got a shaft drive. Now, we know for a lot of people buying an adventure bike that they absolutely have to have a shaft drive to make that bike what they want for their normal usage. So as we focus at component level on mass reduction, you find that the higher our spec level is, the greater our mass reduction is compared to our competitors. And that's on a spec for spec comparison.
And what about the bells and whistles? All new bikes have lots of tech. What's the standout bit of tech on these bikes?
Okay, well, we've already mentioned the semi-active suspension. Yeah. So the Showa semi-active suspension is absolutely fantastic on these bikes. Really works well for comfort, control, on and off road, and it's really easy for you to set the bike up to suit how you want it to feel, how much comfort or control you need for any riding condition. In addition to that, we've got the Triumph blind spot radar system, which is fitted as standard to both Explorer models. Okay, so what that does is we have a rear-facing radar that looks at the traffic behind you and in your blind spot. If there's a vehicle, a car or a bike in your blind spot, you will have a light illuminated on your mirror to show it's there. If you indicate to pull out, if there's a vehicle there or a vehicle approaching, you'll get a flashing light. Okay, so it's a really good system, and it's a system we really know is wanted by our customers. Additionally, depending on the model, either fitted as original equipment or as an accessory, you've got heated seats, heated grips and cruise control.
Okay, so we've learned about the bikes and we've talked about the competitor as well. The competitor, no prizes for guessing, that's the GS. They are the best-selling bikes at the moment. However, these bikes are about to challenge that very soon. So I've got Miles Perkins here, and tell me, Miles, what have you done to challenge that status quo?
Yes, it's an interesting question. I mean, as Stuart probably I think has already talked about, this is a very big project for Triumph, more than 4 years in the making, with a very single-minded ambition to build and create what we would like to think will be a new benchmark in the category. As you say, the sales charts will be dominated by one manufacturer, but there are plenty of great adventure bikes in that world. And what the team wanted to do was effectively develop a new Tiger lineup that hit every single point that we felt from talking to customers was important to them, and lead. So in terms of the weight, it's 25 kilograms lighter, but 17 kilograms or up to 17 kilograms lighter like for like versus the only other shaft drive sort of large capacity adventure bike in the category. Shaft drive, yeah, being an absolute key thing for the riders. With the Specification, these now carry things that you just can't get on some of the other bikes. You also have, with power and performance, there's this not only 150 PS in terms of a step up 9 PS, but that's more than that closest competitor, but also it's a triple. And with the T-plane crank, you get the benefits of a twin low down in terms of off-road or low-speed manoeuvring on the road. But on the road for touring, the triple, I would say personally, is a better bet in terms of mid-range to top-end riding, particularly if you're doing long distances. So an all-round ambition here was to set the Tiger to the top of the tree and go toe-to-toe and actually deliver an advantage on all of the key things: power, handling, performance, character, particularly with the engine, but at a very, very competitive price. And I think on a spec for spec comparison, the Tiger brings an advantage there as well.
You mentioned price. What's the starting price for these bikes, and when will they be in dealerships?
So the range across the five starts at 14,600 for the base GT, goes up to 19,100 for the absolute flagship top of the range Rally Explorer. And in terms of the UK, these should be coming into dealers at the beginning of April. But of course, dealers will be looking forward to having conversations from now. I guess another thing to add is there's specs and comparisons, and for anyone who has a large capacity adventure bike, I've owned quite a few of them, is that all of that matters. It's something that you make a real study of. But actually, the riding feel and the character, if you take a test ride on one of these, I think one of the things that will stand out straight away is not only that really agile manoeuvrability. I've ridden these; they're like a Tiger 900, on steroids, is what I think Ricky Carmichael said. So there's that, but then it's just that nature of feel from the engine and the character and the sound that you get out of it. The other shaft drive competitor, you could consider that, I think, in comparison. I think this is, you're going to note the feel from the mid-range upwards in terms of its excitement and dynamicness from off the throttle, and rather than being a sort of a lazy tourer. I think if you want to push on with one of these, you're going to have some fun, but also the substance is still there from the previous generation, that real sort of stable, mile munching. What more can I say?
It sounds good.
It's a fantastic bike.
Yeah, I can't wait to ride one. So there you go. 5 new Tigers, all looking pretty tasty so far. We'll be test riding them early on in 2022, and we'll be bringing you the review in Motorcycle, Sports and Leisure and MoreBikes.co.uk.